Eliza, in the finale, and all things are relative on the 100, but I felt like Clarke, relative to other finales, had some optimism, when she told Ali, we'll beat this, basically, that we will get through this. So these are pretty formidable odds Jason's mentioning, but do you think at this point Clarke at least feels like, well, we've gone through a lot, and maybe we can do this too?
I think it's interesting because she's realized, as Bellamy says at the end of season 3, you don't look like someone who just saved the world. And she says, because I can't, like we didn't. And I feel like it's going to be really interesting to watch a group of people, humans, trying to survive again in a world that this is an enemy that we can't defeat. Mm-hmm. So how do we move forward? And of course, in true Clarke fashion, that will be her trying to get everyone on board. But there'll be some very different reactions, I think. You would agree with that?
Yeah, we're definitely going to see the range of reactions. Clarke will be Clarke, and she'll fight till the last dying day to save everybody.
Yeah.
Sort of transcending tribalism, realizing that everybody is her people, something that she learned from Lexa. And I think that ultimately we'll see others react in a very different way. One of the ways that we find hope and light and some humor, which I think the show could use for sure, is people are done.
We could use some.
Some people are just done fighting and they just want to have a party until the end of the world. So we'll see that too.
Now, Ian, Kane had such strong resolve in season 3. He stood up to Pike. He stood up to Ali, but then obviously he did give in to save Abby's life. And then it was such a wrenching experience we saw when they were brought out of the City of Light at the end. It just seemed to rock him to his core. How much do you think that's going to sort of stick with him going forward? Or will he, just have to keep going because there's a lot to deal with?
Yeah! What? I think Kane is fairly pragmatic, even though he's grown a lot over the seasons. But I think one of the things I like about him is that he sees what needs to be done, and hopefully he won't delve too much into the PTSD and just, he as a good leader, I would hope he would put others before him and put their needs and concerns before his, and try and lead people out.
Mm-hmm. Or away, somewhere.
Somewhere.
Marie, I'm guessing that some of the humor they're going to try to bring in a little more this season might not come immediately from Octavia, given where we left off. She's in a pretty dark place right now, made this decision, and especially, I guess, the timing of the decision might have some raising their eyebrows. So what do you think is her next move, given the way things ended so starkly for her in season 3?
Octavia tried to bandage the hole in her heart by getting her revenge on Pike. But as we know, that doesn't quite fix it or bring Lincoln back, does it? So next season, you're going to see Octavia take a really dark turn. It's possible to go darker. We always surprise you. And Octavia's going to go ahead and do what she does best, which is killing people. She's pretty good at it. And you might see her skills. Yeah. Special skills on her resume. Yeah, assassin. That's what you're going to see her do next season. And that's all I can tell you. Or I'll have to kill you.
And Lindsey, Raven, too, went through a rough season last year. In the final episodes, though, she seemed to sort of get her old spark back, being alley-free. Do you think, she's feeling her old self again, maybe more than she has in a long time?
I think Raven's feeling herself. But I kind of think it's not the same Raven. I think, she got the alley upgrade, so her, she's definitely like a Raven 2.0, but I think it's even better than that, because I think she kind of went through an evolution and almost like a reincarnation of everything she went through. She's not only stronger mentally and intelligently because of Allie and the knowledge that Allie left behind and has created in her brain, but it's but emotionally and spiritually, she's been to hell and back, and it was kind of boring to her. So she didn't die. So I feel like she's a totally different Raven on a different level, ready to take on the biggest enemy yet.
And Chris, Monty, he had some big personal losses last season, some of which unfortunately he had to participate in. How much has this changed him? Going forward, the character, has always been a very lovable and amongst some of the 100 characters, a lighter character. But do you think you can't come out of this not very changed by all that's occurred?
Well, it's humanly impossible to kill your mother twice. But I will say that there has to be some optimism involved. After Mom Death 1, maybe he would have collapsed. After Mom Death 2, I think he definitely would have quit. But I think given the stakes, first of all, he has a possibly blossoming romance, which is exciting for him. And also, it's the last moment between him and Jasper. You really feel hopeful for the first time in a very long time since like mid-Mount Weather that they're going to be okay. So I think for him, he's more motivated than ever, especially because of the loss of his mother, to keep protecting his chosen family.
Mm-hmm. And, Richard, I actually would say your character in some ways did have, again, all relative on the 100, a lighter season. And certainly he found someone, he found the Bonnie to his Clyde that he seems to really care for in a different way than we've ever seen him. And, has that been interesting for you to explore that side of him, given what the character was when we met him?
Yeah, 100%. I got to take a second, though, because I've been waiting a long time for this moment. And I'm taking this in, because this is the most beautiful sight these eyes have ever seen. I've been looking a long time to see on the screen with the little Comic-Con face behind me. That's pretty damn cool. But yeah, no, it's, for me, that was such a different part of Murphy, because it was always, you look out for yourself number one, which I think is fair in a situation like that. But I said this earlier in an interview, man, like life's nothing without love. Once you find that, yourself doesn't really matter anymore. So I think, absolutely, it still matters to him. But he found someone he can kind of share life with, and for at least now. And I love that for him. Honestly, I'm just really happy. There might be, for the first time in my time playing Murphy, I can see the possibility of maybe a happy ending for him. Mm-hmm. And that's really cool.
We'll see.
Yeah, Jason. I spoke too soon.
Right. Now, Jason, let me ask you about a couple characters that at the end of last season, their fate was a little bit up in the air. We had Roan dragged off. We had Indra severely hurt. Can you talk about these characters and their status?
Alive and alive.
Okay.
Yes.
And Rowan, played by Zach McGowan, is actually joining the cast as a series regular this year.
Woo!
I think you guys all knew that.
I think I didn't.
I object.
And so he'll be back in a big way. And Indra was on the cross, as we know, because Kane told Octavia in the scene in the finale. And one of the first things we'll see is Octavia, figuring out how to get down and finding her way to Indra. So happy midpoints for both of those characters.
Okay. And then one other character I wanted to ask about, because she made a big impression near the end of last season, was Luna. We met. Now, obviously, made a big decision to not help them.
Yeah.
But will we be seeing her again?
Well, Nadia Hilker, who plays Luna, will definitely be back as well. She was a breath of fresh air, and her character will come into our world again. I don't want to spoil how she enters the scene, but in a world that is beginning to collapse environmentally, and the effects of what I think Allie mentioned, black rain and boils and all the plagues of the Bible start coming down. They're out there on a rig, so they're the canaries in a coal mine. And so we'll see her relatively